Hello, my friends. How is everyone today? I hope everyone is having a wonderful day. Okay, this is gonna be a good one. I hope you're ready. Talking about redefining yourself. So, I'm gonna start I'm gonna start with this quote, which I think is very, very relevant to what I'm gonna be talking about. Set the tone. If you tell a lie big enough and keep repeating it, people will eventually come to believe it. And if you repeat it frequently enough, people will sooner or later believe it. So this is how it works. And I've spoken about this like ad nauseum at this point, but this is gonna be with a different twist, okay? As we're growing up and we're being educated by our parents, and then not too later on, this whole machine system that was designed to educate us and to literally indoctrinate us and give us this entire core set of beliefs, ideologies, ways of being, how to behave, how to react, how to think. And the list is very, very long. I could be here for hours talking about this, but that's not the point. The point is we never judge. I don't know if judge would be the right word. Let's say we never really stop to think for ourselves for a moment. They say that free thinkers are dangerous people because they have a mind of their own and they're capable of thinking for themselves and then deciding if all these things are right or wrong or on their own, or even better, they decide that, no, that's not how I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna do it different because I don't like this way. So what happens is, without us even realizing it, we live most of our lives in this huge, gigantic, fabricated lie of illusions and deceptions, because we have always been told that we don't matter in the grand scheme of things. And by accepting that fact, we make our lives much harder than they have to be, and sometimes even miserable. Yeah, that's the right word, miserable. And children, because they are still developing all these things within themselves at a young age, children, unfortunately, because it's human nature, because when you're young, very, very young, you are just a loving being. So everything that you're being told and taught, you're going to accept at face value without ever questioning anything. And yeah, there might be a few things here and there that you will question, but it's not going to be that many. I am part of a generation that I think we were very fortunate when it came down to things like this because, when I was going to school in the 70s, mid 70s, then late 70s, and, early 80s, and so forth, we still had teachers that were good people that actually told us to think for ourselves and then make our own conclusions about stuff. And those were the best type of teachers you could possibly have in your lifetime because that is the way we should see everything in our lives instead of just accepting it. Let me use an example here. Things like, for instance, the Charles Darwin theory of evolution, right? That we're all told that we come from monkeys and that's the end of the story and there's nothing to be argued here. Just take it, accept it, and that's how it is. Same thing with the Big Bang and all these things, right? They have become like widely known and accepted theories of how everything started. But this is what they are. They are just theories. None of these things have ever been proven. And if you care to do your own research, you will know that, you will learn that. And it's like that with almost just about everything that we have been told. A lot of stuff is just concepts, ideas, made up constructs that not only they're not our own, not of our own making, but they are theoretical in nature and in a lot of times straight up false. And yet we never doubt, we never question, we never challenge any of these things because we were told that that's it and shut up, take it and take it or leave it, right? It's crazy. It's outrageously wild when you look at some of this stuff, how we just accept everything at face value without ever questioning it. But those of us who know. And when you've always been a person of a inquiring nature, subconsciously speaking, when you're being told a lot of these things, even as you're growing up, they're full of shit. You know that's not true. And you just chuckle to yourself and you're like, okay, right, you can tell that to everybody else, but I ain't buying that garbage. Right? It's absolutely insane how some of this stuff works. So what I meant by redefining yourself is that we have to understand that we live by how we think of ourselves. We live our lives about, how we think of ourselves and based upon our core belief system, all the things that we believe to be true, all the things that we think are true. But because of a lot of these ideas, ideologies, way of thinking, way of being, way of how I should live my life are not really our own concepts or ideas. They are things that have been fed to us on a silver spoon, so to speak, by an entire system that was designed to trick you and to basically take your own power away. So you basically, were being told and trained to just be obedient, follow the rules. This is how it is. There is good, there's bad, there's right, there's wrong, all these things, right? And that's not to say some of these things, they have value at their core concepts, but it's not all black and white as we are told. And in a lot of ways, like I said, a lot of these things, they are fabrications to make you be the type of person that you will never truly follow your own ideas and the things that come from within. So like I said in some of my other content prior to this, we need to learn how to cast aside all these ideas and things that we were fed pretty much most of our lives, and then remember that that's not what we are. We need to not only rediscover ourselves by looking within and starting to do a lot of introspection and self-analytical intelligence, in self-analytical, intelligent self-questioning. And then once you start to reconnect with yourself, you're gonna figure out that, yeah, a lot of this stuff is not what it is. We lived in conformity our entire lives, not realizing that it's a horrible way. It's a horrible way of living your life, to conform, to accept without rational understanding and realizing that all these things that were given to us by a system outside of ourselves are not really in our best interest. So you need to redefine yourself, reinvent yourself by learning how to listen to your intuition, your inner voice, not the voice of your thoughts, but the voice of reason, the voice of the truth, the voice of the silence and the void. So that's why it's very important that sometimes we just sit with ourselves and empty our minds to get a feel of what reality really is and what it means to be here and to be alive right now. Because like I said many times before, we definitely didn't come here to slave our lives away and waste it all to benefit everybody but ourselves. You need to learn how to be selfish, but in the good way. What do I mean by that? Well, by understanding that you have to be the person who always look out for yourself and your best interests, and that no one outside of you is ever going to do what is best for you, no matter how it seems on the surface. Because you're gonna learn that there are a lot of people out there that are going to play this control and manipulation game, especially if you are a good-hearted person that likes to be kind to others. And this is why I said, before, don't let people think that your kindness is your weakness or makes you weak, because that's how people will take advantage of you. And that's not going to be fun at all, trust me. So, basically, we have to redefine ourselves. Because we are what our core belief system is. Basically, like I said, how we think of ourselves, how we feel about ourselves, and all of these things, all of these factors. And if you don't think of yourself highly, in a loving way, in a self-respecting way, in a way where you always put yourself first no matter what, because that's how everyone should be living their lives, you're gonna live a hard life, and it's not gonna be fun. But when you start changing your life and doing things like that, there's gonna be an adjustment period in the beginning, obviously, but eventually, you're gonna start to meet people who think the same way you do and who act the same way you do. And then everything's gonna be fine after that. But until that day comes, yeah, it's gonna be a little rough for a little while. It's just a normal adjustment period. It just happens, it is what it is. We have to redefine ourselves, or else we'll just continue to live mundanely, and it's never gonna be fun and satisfying and enjoying and fulfilling. And that's just how it is. And this is really all I wanted to talk about on this specific subject. So get out there, reinvent yourself, chuck all those things that you were told about yourself away, and start looking at it from the perspective that actually matters. I love you all. Never stop loving yourself. And I will catch you all on the next one. Take care, my friends.